What's up, everyone? Welcome to a very special end of the year video. My name is Andrew and I'm really glad you're here. If you don't know already, I'm a guitarist of over 15 years now and I make K-pop guitar covers and tons of other K-pop content here on YouTube. But the new year is finally upon us and I wanted to wish everyone a very, very happy new year. 2023 was one heck of a year, but we made it, y'all. We made it. Now, I don't know about you, but this time of year is always a time of reflection for me. So before stepping right into 2024, I figured it would be fun to take a look back at all of the comebacks for 2023 and select my top 10 favorite songs. In preparation for this video, just to make sure I didn't forget anything, I went through a bunch of different release schedules, month by month, and y'all, I had no idea how difficult this was gonna be. There were so many great releases in 2023, and by the time that I pulled all of the ones that I personally enjoyed, the list was like 50 or 60 songs. After that, I pulled all of my absolute favorites from that list, and the list still ended up being like 20 or 30 songs. But then picking just 10 of those was like one of the hardest things I've ever done. However, if you're curious about all the songs that didn't make it into this video, I've created a Spotify playlist containing all of them called TKG Wrapped 2023, and I'll link that in the description below. And if you really enjoy it, who knows? I just might make this a reoccurring thing. Anyways, before we dive in, I wanted to share the rules that I set for myself when I was making this list. Firstly, I only included songs that I had actually listened to this year. So there were a few songs that I actually discovered in the process of making the list, and I did not include those. Secondly, I limited the list to a single song per group, which was extremely difficult. But if I hadn't done that, the list probably would have been composed of like 2 or 3 different groups, and I wanted to make things more fun than that. But with all of that out of the way, it is time to introduce the first song. So, without further ado, the number 10 spot on my list for 2023 is... Baby, I'm alive, and I've been driving through the night. Look, it would be nearly impossible with all of the experiences that I've had with the Rose this year to not include a song off of Duel. It probably won't be a surprise because I've already covered it on this channel, but Alive has stood out for me ever since I first heard it, like even after I heard the rest of Duel. Wonder was almost in this spot on the list because of the experience that I had with filming the music video. But Alive still has a little bit of an edge for me musically. The way it's produced and arranged creates a dynamic roller coaster from start to finish. It keeps me hooked, and every section feels like a really refreshing, natural progression from the one before it. The vocals and the instruments are all rock solid, and I specifically love the guitar parts in the chorus and in the outro section. Of course, the lyrics are awesome, and the music video that they released for this song really just like ties all of the creative elements together to form an amazing audiovisual experience. As an alt-rock / alt-pop song, it's one of my all-time favorites, and it carries the Rose's signature charm that we've all come to know and love. But moving on, let's go ahead and move on to number 9 on my list, which happens to be... I must admit that Stray Kids had an insanely strong year this year when it comes to music releases, and a number of those songs could be on this list. However, unsurprisingly, I had to include this one. It might not be much of a surprise, especially if you saw the last section of my reaction for La 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 La, but I love this song as like a true rock version of a title track. It's the perfect blend of the vocal performances from Stray Kids from the original La 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 La, but with all of the hard rock instrumentals that I personally feel fit the lyrics best. There are thick guitars. There are tons of stank face moments. There's a legit guitar solo at the end of the song. Like, I feel like the whole thing just like slaps you in the face. I'm not really surprised that Stray Kids were the ones to do this, but I'm really happy that they did, especially as someone who grew up listening to metal and like playing metal early on guitar, but who now also deeply loves K-pop. But now, with what might seem like a 180-degree turn musically speaking, let's move on to the number 8 spot on the list. Listen, I'm the one and only. One and only. Many of you might not know this, but I am a huge fan of Zico and his music. So when I learned that KOZ would be debuting a boy group, I was super interested in checking them out. When I finally watched the music video for One and Only, I was immediately hooked. Everything about BoyNextDoor just feels so fresh and unique, and One and Only is a prime example of this. I almost had Sometimes in this spot on the list, but the initial excitement of hearing One and Only and experiencing BoyNextDoor just really put it out on top. The arrangement has Zico written all over it, the vocals are just so freaking good, and I love how unique the choreo is. For those curious, my bias is Riwoo, and I love his vocal part in the first pre-chorus. For the music nerds out there, I love how they stay on the 1 chord for like the first half of the chorus, and then they switch to the 6 and then the 4. It just feels so good to me musically. Anyways, BoyNextDoor has quickly become one of my favorite groups, and I'm really excited to see how they continue from here. Speaking of continuing from here, let's go ahead and move on to the number 7 spot on my list, which just happens to be
Because I'm burning, but I know
Now, I've been a Monsta X fan for a very long time, and Jooheon has been my bias the entire time, so I was really excited to hear that he was releasing more solo music. However, I didn't quite love Freedom the first like 2 or 3 times I listened to it. But with each listen, it grew on me more and more, and now I can't think of a single song that like perfectly exemplifies the diverse set of talents that Jooheon brings to the table. It's the perfect balance of his insane rapping, his mind-blowing vocals, and his amazing dance performances. Like, if you haven't already, definitely go check out the dance practice video for this song. Don't get me wrong, it's an absolute roller coaster of a song, but it's one that takes you on a positive theme journey through these gorgeous ballad moments, like hard-hitting rap verses and epic choruses. The musical elements create this really cool balance of beauty and power throughout the song. And of course, I love all of the electric guitar that they used. I know it might not be everyone's thing, but for me personally, it's a super inspiring piece of music. Speaking of inspiration, the next song is an inspiring collaboration, and it's actually one of 2 that are on this list. So, my number 6 pick for 2023 is
every time I work, every time I run, every time I move.
Some of you might know this, but BTS was my gateway into the whole world of K-pop back in like 2018. And as a result of that, their music has always held a really special place in my heart. So I was so freaking pumped to find out that Hobie would finally have a chance to collaborate on a song with his longtime role model, J. Cole. This song is many things, but first and foremost, it is beautiful in every way. The beat, the 4-5-6-3 chord progression, the musical layering, and of course, the rapping are all just perfect in their execution. These things come together to create a song that feels to me equal parts an inspirational speech and an actual work of art. Like, there's not a single time that I listen to this song and I'm not struck by how beautiful it is. Both Hobie and J. Cole's parts are expertly written, and they both take me on a journey as I listen to them. I could say a million things about it, but at the end of the day, On the Street is a song that always makes me think and is always very inspirational. I had to have it on this list. Now, the next song has an equally heavy message, but delivers it in a completely different way. The number 5 song on my list for 2023 is If you've been with my channel for a while, you'll know that I love WOODZ's music. It's been a little while, but I've covered a few of his songs, and I don't think there's a single one of his songs that I don't enjoy. I really enjoyed his comeback earlier this year, but when I heard Amnesia for the first time a number of days ago now, I was hooked, like immediately. To me, this captures all of the things that I love about WOODZ's music. The insane vocals, the instruments, and the rock vibes. Like, generally speaking, this is just a lot of my favorite musical things in a single song. I can almost guarantee that anything Ho and Nathan produce together is probably gonna do that for me. But I think the thing that really sets this song apart is how beautifully haunting it is. The vocals have these massive reverbs on them that make them sound big and beautiful, but also kind of distant. The melody seems to float over the chord progressions almost like a ghost, and there are these really cool chromatic moments that add just the right amount of dissonance. And the chord progression has not 1, but 2 dominant 7 chords that aren't technically in the key of the song. Amnesia just sounds like it lives in this place between happiness and sadness. And if I'm being honest, I love it. And of course, to top it all off is the extremely tasty guitar work from Ho on this song. He's an inspiring player to me, and I love the parts that he writes. But leaving one flavor of intensity for another, the song in the number 4 spot will probably be really familiar to some of you. No joke, picking a single Ateez song for this list was one of the most difficult choices I've had to make all year. Just like Stray Kids, Ateez has had an insanely strong year when it comes to releases, and this list, realistically speaking, could have been just Ateez songs. But of all of the songs, of all of the absolute hits, Dune has been the song that has consistently stood out to me personally as being the most interesting. I almost put Bouncy on here because of how iconic that song is, but then I listened to Dune afterwards and I just ascended into another ethereal plane. This version of Ateez, the intense, like edgier version of Ateez, is my favorite one. And when you couple that with insane vocal work and some really cool Phrygian dominant like harmonic structure underneath, you've got yourself a hit. The vocals are superb. The choruses just slap you in the face. The bridge feels like you're summoning an ancient Sith Lord. And of course, above all, who could forget the Ateez is my alt group. Dune is one of my favorite Ateez tracks. It's as simple as that. Now, the time has finally come to move into my top 3 songs of 2023. But before we do, and while we're kind of still on the topic of Ateez a little bit, I wanted to make an honorable mention. When I initially came up with the idea for this video, without a single second thought, this song was immediately at like number 1 or number 2 on the list. Didn't even have to think twice about it, right? So just to make sure, when I was making the video, just to make sure that I didn't make a fool of myself, I looked up when this song was released. Because the way I remember it, it was released right at the beginning of this year. To my utter dismay, my utter freaking dismay, I found out it was released on December 30th of 2022. A mere 2 freaking days before the beginning of the year. And because of the rules that I set for myself, it was disqualified. Some of you already know what song this is, but my honorable mention for this list, because it was disqualified by 2 freaking days, is yeah, this is my favorite Ateez song to date still, and it never gets old. It never gets old. It's beautiful. It's intense. It's epic. It's haunting a little bit, etc., etc. The list can go on and on. It's one of my favorite covers I've ever done, along with Dune, actually, now that I think about it. And it's still my song of the year for 2022, even though it came out 2 days before the end of the year. I could rave about Halazia for a very long time, but if you want to hear more of my specific thoughts about the song, or the guitar cover for it, I'll link both of those in the description below. But it's time, y'all. Moving on to my personal top 3 favorite songs of 2023. My third favorite song is XG really came out of nowhere for me this year, really unexpectedly. And even though I've only known about them for like 4 or 5 months at this point, they're already in my top 5 favorite groups. It was really difficult to pick a single XG song for this list, even though XG hasn't put out nearly as much music as some of the other groups. I do really love the songs that they have released pretty much equally. It equally features the hard-hitting rap parts and the smooth and beautiful vocal moments that we've come to expect from XG. The hard-hitting parts make me stank face, and of course, the really pretty parts showcase their amazing vocal layering and harmony. Of course, the music production is top tier, and I think the thing that I really love about it all is how reminiscent it is of like late 90s and early 2000s hip-hop and R&B. It just feels like the perfect nod to their individual inspirations as artists, but also really fresh at the same time. I've yet to do a cover of this song, but I promise you it's coming. Speaking of covers, the song in the number 2 spot on this list happens to be a song that I've actually covered. For all of you Insomnia out there who have been wondering this whole time where Dreamcatcher is, I am pleased to say that the number 2 spot on my list is y'all, I listened to this song so many freaking times after it was released. Like I did my reaction video. What's up, Cheeto? I did my reaction video, which I will definitely link in the description below if you want to hear my full thoughts on the music and the music video, because I go into way more detail than I can here, but I did that and then it was just bon voyage, just on repeat. All of that to say, It is my favorite Dreamcatcher song of all time. It's got softer moments and softer vocals. It's got big epic parts with the soaring trademark Dreamcatcher vocals that we've all come to know and love and expect from their songs. It's got tons of guitar. It's got rock vibes. Like, literally, this song for me personally has everything you could ever want in a Dreamcatcher song, and I love it. I just love it. The vocals in this song are some of the best that I've ever heard from Dreamcatcher. I still get chills from Sua's high note in the bridge all the way through Xi'an's like soaring, just insanely high background vocals in that last chorus. I still get chills to this day every time I listen to it. The instrumental arranging throughout the entire song is incredible. And of course, I live for those hits at the beginning of every chorus and of course the guitar work throughout. This is just quintessential Dreamcatcher for me, and personally, I feel like it shows them at their very best. But y'all, we made it. We made it to the end of the list, and now it is finally time to unveil my favorite song of 2023. I'm willing to bet that this might surprise some of you, and it might feel a little out of nowhere. But if you remember earlier, I mentioned that there were 2 collabs on this list. Well, this is the other one. Before this song came out, I was already really excited for it, but the final product blew me away. So, without further ado, my favorite song of 2023 is... That's right. Here in the United States, there are few artists as iconic and as influential as Usher. If you look closely enough, his influence is all over modern K-pop, and most importantly, he is the early template for solo artists like Jungkook. He's just a freaking legend. Now, when you combine that with someone as iconic as Jungkook, and you give them a feature, like a legit feature that happens to be, in this case, the last half of the song, it's a match made in heaven. I was already in love with Standing Next to You after I completed my cover. Like, in the weeks following that cover, it was on repeat nonstop. So when I found out that he would be collaborating with Usher of all people, freaking Usher, I could not contain my excitement. It was like a mini Avengers thing. So when I saw the music video on the day it came out and I saw them perform this together, I was freaking blown away. Y'all, there are a few things in the history of the entire universe as smooth as the 2 of them together. Like, go watch the music video and then come back here. Well, finish this video first, and then go watch the music video and then come back and try to find something smoother than the 2 of them performing together. You can't. It's not possible. Usher spins his freaking chain. You know what? I'm just gonna put it on screen. I'm gonna put it on the screen so we can all see it. He spins his chain around his neck as a part of the choreo. Like, it doesn't get smoother than that. Okay, the only regret I have from 2023 is not filming a reaction video while I was watching that for the first time. I bet it would have been so entertaining because I was losing my mind. But look, musically, Standing Next to You has so many of my favorite things. It's got a stanky bass line, all right? All of the instruments from start to finish rhythmically are right where they need to be in the pocket. It feels just so good as a song. Jungkook's vocals are so amazing. There's great guitar parts. It's one stank face after the other. It has it all. It has it all. But then you take all of those amazing things, you put them in a pot, and then you take Usher and you put him in there with it. You add some Usher, you stir it up. It's like the song goes Ultra Instinct from Dragon Ball Super. Usher's vocals are smooth as butter. Pun fully intended this time. Smooth as butter, okay? The harmonizing that he and Jungkook do, heavenly. All of the little vocal runs that he does in the background, flawless. And then you watch them dance together. I know that this last one might have been a little out of left field for some of you, but for me personally, this collab got me hyped in a way none of the other comebacks did. But there you have it, my top 10 favorite songs of 2023. It was really difficult at times to make the list, but honestly, I love how it came out and I thought the list was a lot of fun. But I'd love to hear what you think about this list in the comments section below. And better yet, why don't you tell me what your favorite releases of 2023 were, if you can actually pick them, because I know how hard it is, but I would love to hear about those. 2023 was many things, but we can't deny that it was a year of fantastic music. Again, if you're curious about the other songs that didn't make it on the list and you want to check them out, feel free to go check out the Spotify playlist TKG Wrapped 2023 in the description below. Of course, if you haven't already, it would mean the world to me if you would consider liking, subscribing, and hitting the bell icon. They're three really simple things, but they go such a long way to help out this channel. Again, I hope you all have a fantastic new year and an amazing start to your 2024. To every single person who supported me in any way on this channel this year, I cannot thank you enough. I'm going to continue giving this my all next year, and I've got some really exciting things planned, so stay tuned. But I'm gonna wrap things up for now, so thank you so much for watching. I'm Andrew, and I'll see you next year.